Muslim, Quran is my guide. I hear the calling of them, with it we unite. We are special only if we follow his light. The way of Muhammad, calling to paradise. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, we are your servants, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله الأمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In today's episode, we will inshallah try to conclude talking about Al-Adl and its importance in our religion, in our life, in the important role of restoring our dignity as Muslims and to bring back the pride of Islam. Al-Adl, if you recall, is fairness and justice. We're supposed to be fair in everything we do, in what we say, in how we act and behave, with Muslims and non-Muslims alike. This was Allah's order to His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who ordered us to do the same as well. And yesterday we talked about being fair with the children, with your own offspring. And we got a number of questions from brothers and sisters who were a little bit confused of this aspect, and we cleared it, inshallah, hopefully, that it is totally prohibited to differentiate in gifts to your children, and you have to be fair with them all. When it comes to giving a gift without any reason, whether it's for Eid, whether it is for passing the exams, you have to be fair to all, whether young or old. And if you recall, I quoted the hadith of An-Nu'man ibn Bashir, may Allah be pleased with the man and with his father. But when it comes to allowance, when it comes to daily expenses, when it comes to things that are a necessity and a need, not a luxury, not something that is extra like a gift, in this case you don't have to be fair. So if you have two children and one of them needed to be operated upon, the other one does not have the right to say the operation cost you 2,000 euros, so give me a similar amount. If one goes to the university and one goes to kindergarten, so you don't give them the same daily allowance because this is different. Their expenses are different, and so on. If one is a boy and one is a girl, when you buy clothes to them, they're different. You may buy clothes that are more to the female rather than the boy because the boy doesn't wear as much, and so on. And part of being fair is also to have fairness and justice with your spouses. So if a man is married to more than a woman, he's obliged to be fair to all of them. And this is why Allah Azza wa Jal stated in chapter 4, Surah An-Nisa, that you may marry as you wish from among the women, whether you take 2 wives, 3 wives, or maximum of 4 wives at a time. Providing that you're fair, but if you fear that you are not going to be fair and just, in this case, only marry one. And this was illustrated clearly in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where the Prophet said, ﷺ, whoever has two wives and favors one of them over the other, he will come on the day of judgment with his side leaning or tilted. So it would be apparent to everyone on the day of judgment, on the day of resurrection, that this person was not fair with his wives. But we have to make a footnote here to explain what do we mean by favoring one over the other. See, there are things that you cannot control. If a man is married to more than one woman, he may not be able to control his love and compassion. So he may love one more than he loves the other. He may have more affection and compassion to one more than the other. This is something that is beyond human control. Even when it comes to passion and desire, he may have to this one more than he has to that one. So is he considered to be unfair and unjust? The scholars say no, this is not within his control. It was known to all the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, that the Prophet ﷺ loved Mother Aisha more than all of his wives. This was a well-known fact. It is true that the Prophet ﷺ was wise enough to not tell the other women when he is with them that I love Aisha more than I do love you. Never. But this was well-known fact. And they themselves knew that because it's a feeling that may reflect, may resonate without you being able to control. However, the Prophet ﷺ never ever was unfair or unjust to them. So you have to be fair when it comes to financial spending. You have to spend here and here the same when it comes to giving. So you give this wife a bottle.
Huda TV's social media sites are the best way to contact us from anywhere around the world. Stay connected with Huda TV's latest news and programs through Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Skype, and Instagram. It's fast and easy. Stay up to date with your favorite shows and scholars today. Huda TV, a light in every home.
TV commercials motivate viewers into immediate action and to sway consumer loyalty from one brand or service to the other. That's why we're here for you, to help you sell your products and services by using creative ideas that bring life into your own TV commercial. Advertise your business and branded products and services on Huda.
If he is a man and not a figure of speech. So we have to rectify our lives and see, do we treat our wives in fairness and justice? The Prophet ﷺ was once in the house of Mother Aisha. And while he was with his companions, our mother Safiya bint Huyay, may Allah be pleased with her, sent a plate with food in it to the Prophet ﷺ. And when the maid came and gave this to the Prophet ﷺ, when Aisha saw this, she was outraged, thinking that this type of audacity must not be accepted. It is her day, it is her house, and Mother Safiya is sending food. So she got jealous, and she smacked the hand of the maid, forcing the plate to fall on the ground, break, and the food to scatter on the floor. The Prophet ﷺ stood up, gathered the food, and explained to his companions that your mother has become jealous. Don't worry, it's natural. He said, غارت أمكم. Don't worry, this is natural. Now, the Prophet ﷺ did accept Mother Aisha to be jealous. This is only normal. What he did not accept was the destruction of such wealth. So he ordered Aisha to compensate Safiya with a plate of her own in exchange for what she had broken. And the food, the Prophet ﷺ collected it and they used it. So he said, إِنَاءٌ بِإِنَاء وَطَعَامٌ بِطَعَامٍ. If that was not usable, then Aisha should compensate the Prophet ﷺ and his companions with similar amount of food from her own house. This shows us how the Prophet ﷺ used to deal with his wives. He used to be fair, to the extent that at one time he had 9 wives and he had to go to expeditions. He had to travel. So what does a person do when he has so many wives and he doesn't know who to pick or choose? Does he take them in turn? This is not possible. The last one would say, why was I the last? And maybe she would not attain her turn. Nobody knows. So as part of justice in Islam, we have what is known as al-qur'ah. And al-qur'ah is like flipping a coin to decide. And some may translate it as drawing the lots. And this was found in previous nations, but it was divided into halal and haram. So the haram was the one that was made to determine which way to go. And this was done by the pre-Islamic era, by the mushrikeen. Each one used to have 3 pens or arrows. Written on one of them, go ahead. The second one, do not go ahead. The third one was blank. So if I wanted to travel, for example, I draw the lots. If it says, go ahead, then I proceed. If it says, no, don't go, then I cancel my trip. And if it is blank, I retry it again. This was made prohibited. What is permissible is when the rights are equal. So each one has a similar right, and we have to have a decider. In this case, we refer to al-qur'ah, or to drawing the lots. So the Prophet ﷺ, whenever he traveled, he used to draw the lots between his wives, and whoever her name was chosen, she goes with him. So he writes, this one way of doing it, their names, and they put it in a pot, and a child, for example, comes and picks one and the name that is written is the one who won. And this concept of qur'a is found even in the Quran, where Allah Azza wa Jal, for example, says about Prophet Jonas, I think his name, Yunus. وَإِنَّ يُونُسَ لَمِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. When he was on the boat and it almost capsized, and the captain said, we have to unload. So draw the lots, and the one's name who's chosen, we must throw him in the sea. Otherwise we will all drown. So they drew the lots 3 times. Each time, Prophet Yunus' name was there. The 3rd time, he threw himself in the sea, or they threw him in the sea. Now this is the law of those before us. And not necessarily that the law of those before us is our law as Muslims. In fact, if it goes against the teachings of Islam, it cannot be accepted. This was permissible in their laws, it is not permissible in our law. So now, if we are in a similar situation, and they said we have to throw 10 of us into the sea so that the load is less, Islam says, no, you either die altogether or live together. The Muslims are equal in their blood, in their value. You cannot simply toss people away on the hope of something that is hypothetical. Maybe no one will be saved. So you would have murdered a person for nothing. Also, Prophet Zakaria, who was married to the aunt of Maryam, the mother of Jesus Christ, peace be upon them all. When Maryam was born, the scholars and the scribes of the Torah, they all wanted to take her in their custody and to take care of her. And they had a dispute. Zakaria said, her aunt is with me, and the aunt is like a mother, as the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam. And they refused. They said that she is the daughter of the best man of our people and one of our greatest scholars. So we have to, each one wants the honor of taking her in his custody. So they drew the lots, as mentioned in the Quran, and it came in Zakaria's share. And likewise, the Prophet ﷺ used to do this when the rights of his wives were equal. So he had to draw the lots. Also, in a dispute, he did this once with 2 scholars or 2 companions who disputed on inheritance, and he advised them, reminded them of Allah Azza wa Jal. So both of them cried and wept and gave his share to his brother. So the Prophet ﷺ told them to draw the lots, and we know that there are other cases as well. So in short, Muslims must be fair and just. If you're a teacher, you have to be fair with your students. If you're a policeman, you have to be fair with the public. Don't give people tickets and not give the others. And if you are working also in a government post as an official, you must also try your level best not to do any dhulm, and to be fair with everyone. And all what we fall under at the moment of humility and weakness is due to our injustice. Not only in our families, but in our communities, in societies, in our countries, between countries and countries. We are divided due to this injustice. And this is why the scholars said that Allah would grant victory and stability to the disbelieving nation, to the kafir nation, if they're fair and just, and will deprive this from a Muslim nation from a believing nation if they are unfair and there is injustice among them. And this is exactly what we see. The amount of fairness found in non-Muslim countries, not because they love fairness, not because their religion calls them to this, but because they know that the CCTV is watching them. That's why they have policies and procedures and they follow it. And they feel most likely that they will be held accountable for doing it. But the problem is that they implement these policies and procedures, while in the Muslim countries they fail to do this big time. And this is why the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that verily the nations before you, Allah Azza wa Jal has destroyed them for a reason. And the Prophet tells us the reason. The reason is that when an honorable person among them steals, they let him go. And when a poor person or someone from the common folks or the ordinary people steals, they establish the prescribed punishment on him. By Allah, the Prophet says, by Allah, if Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad, were to steal, I would have chopped her hand off. And this is the ultimate justice, when you implement this on yourself and on your loved ones. So we should strive our level best to implement this justice in our communities, in our families, in all what we say and do. Only then we would have succeeded in going back to our religion and in establishing the basics. We have a short break. After that we will take your calls, inshallah, so stay tuned.
Ya Allah, Ya Allah.
Muhammad, the most common name in the world. Why were so many parents interested and still are interested in naming the children Muhammad? What are examples of his love, his compassion, his mercy, his dedication, his sincerity, his bravery? How did he balance between private life and the public sphere of life? Why is he known as the greatest mercy sent to humankind? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Join us as we learn more about the balanced and beautiful personality of perfection, Muhammad.
Ya Allah, Ya Allah, we are your servants, Ya Allah.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. Yesterday, subhanallah, last night, it struck me all of a sudden that there was a question I did not answer. And this is not normal. Usually I try my level best not to leave any question unanswered. So I came a while ago and looked into the pad in front of me, and I saw that on Saturday, Ali from Oman asked me about polygamy. And if I recall correctly, she asked me about conditions, etc. This requires a whole lecture. But I believe, subhanallah, that what I said before the break about how to be fair is sufficient. Now, I think she asked that if a man goes to his wife at 11 p.m., must he go to the other wife exactly at 11 p.m.? The answer is no. It is a bit flexible according to a man's needs, a man's chores, a man's things to do and here and there. The most important thing is that he spends the night. What he does with his daytime, it's up to him, providing he's being fair between the two houses. And she said that if my husband came to me and he received a call for an emergency from the second house, is he permitted to go there? I said, definitely yes. This goes both ways. So if you were on your own and you needed him to come and fix something or to take you to the hospital, his other wife has no right to object. And men have to learn how to become men and not to allow women to drive them left, right, and center. So what has to be done at the end of the day. So you're not doing this to favor one over the other. It so happened that this is what is needed to be done. So I hope this answers the question. I think also Brother Muhammad from Nigeria asked about the fasting. Wallahi, I'm getting too old. I don't know if I answered his question or not. But just to give you a piece of information. The Prophet said, ﷺ, there is no fasting for someone who did not intend to fast at night time. So tomorrow is the first day of Ramadan. The night prior to it, I went to bed without intending to fast. And then I woke up after Fajr and they told me that today is Ramadan. The fasting is invalid because I had no intention, no anticipation. Likewise, if someone goes to bed unintending, then wakes up after Fajr and then says, tell you what, I'll make this day a qada, making up for a previous day of Ramadan, or a day of expiation, or a day of a vow I have. All of this is not acceptable because it has to be before the adhan of Fajr. It has to be at night time. However, in Ramadan, if you have the intention for the first night, and then you fast the first day, and you continue the rest of the month residing, not being ill, continuing to fast, this is sufficient. You don't have to have an intention for every night. The first night does the job for the rest of the whole month, and I hope this answers your question. Farhana from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullah.
I have a question for you. Is it better to read the Quran in Arabic without understanding it and trying to finish it during the month of Ramadan, or to read the translation and the tafsir and obviously not finishing it during the holy month?
Okay, any more questions?
Thank you, Sheikh. That's it.
Yeah, okay. This question always resurfaces, and that is, what is best for non-Arab speakers? And not only that, even for Arab speakers, is it best to go for quantity or to go for quality? What do we mean by that? The Prophet told us, ﷺ, that whoever recites one letter of the Quran, Allah would reward him 10 good deeds. I do not say Alif Lam Mim is one letter. Alif is a single letter, Lam is a single letter, Mim is a single letter. So by this, we mean that it is rewardable. The more you recite the Quran, the more reward you will get. However, there is another group of scholars who said that, okay, reading the Quran a lot is good, but contemplating and understanding what Allah has revealed to you is a priority, is more worthy of you doing, because this is what Allah has revealed the Quran for. Don't you agree? Allah did not reveal the Quran just simply to repeat it without understanding what is meant of it. Allah revealed the Quran so that we would implement it, would understand what Allah wants of us. Therefore, I am with the group that says understanding and contemplating upon the Quran is far more beneficial and rewardable than reciting the Quran without understanding. But if you can combine the best of two, so if you can devote 70% of your time to reciting the Quran in Arabic, just to get the barakah, to get acquainted with it, and 30% of your time to read the tafsir and try to have deep understanding and contemplation of it, that would be better, inshallah, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. We have a question from Sister Tahrim, and she's confused, and a lot of the Muslims are confused, and I don't see any reason for their confusion once they understand. See, you can give a poor person a fish every day, but it would be much more convenient if you teach him how to fish. So, when it comes to gold zakat, there are two conditions. Once, that it reaches 85 grams of gold. So anything that is 85 grams or more is zakatable. The second condition is that a full year passes that this gold is in your possession. So I will get back to Sister Tahrim's question after I get Aisha from Nigeria. Okay, then we have Muhammad from Nigeria.
Yes, sir.
Yes, what's your question, Muhammad?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, Sheikh, I'm asking now, for instance, if someone just come in during the Isha prayers.
If someone what?
Yeah, Isha prayers. Now, when I come during Taraweeh prayers, I found Isha prayers has already been completed. Can I follow up the Taraweeh to complete up my Isha prayer?
Okay, any more questions?
No, that is it, sir.
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. We have Asia from Nigeria. Asia?
Yes, Aisha from Nigeria.
Mute your television and listen to me from the phone, please.
Okay.
Yes, what's your question?
My question is that I'm not a Muslim, but I'm suspecting from the fasting when they are doing, but I'm pregnant. But people say that it is mandatory that if you are pregnant, you are going to be doing the fasting. And you know that it's not every day that I will have the power to do it. If I didn't complete it, it's really a haram from Muslims, my culture.
Okay. Any more questions? Any more questions?
Yes. No question again.
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. So, going back to Tahrim, so if you have these two conditions fulfilled, you have the gold 85 grams or more, and you have 1 year possession of it, then you have to give 2.5%. Now, what confuses people is, if I have 200 grams of gold, should I give zakat over the 115 extra grams over the 85 threshold? The answer is no. You should give zakat over the whole total 200. So the 85 is the threshold. After that, the whole thing is considered to be part of zakat. And by the way, the zakat on gold has to be on the 24 karat gold. So if you have 18 karat gold, 85 grams of 18 karat, there's no zakat in it, because if you measure it at the jeweler's shop, they'll tell you this is about 70 plus of 24 karat gold, and this is below the threshold. Amina from the Emirates.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are you?
Salam wa barakatuh. I'm fine. Jazakallah khair for asking.
Alhamdulillah. I just want a question. My daughter is busy writing exams at the moment. It's her final year at school. Alhamdulillah, she always fasts regularly, and she's just finding it a bit difficult. She has got 3 maths exams that are coming up. And she asked me, she says, Mom, can't I not fast on those days? And I said, no, Amira, it's very difficult. You know, you have to, inshallah, Allah will help you and guide you and make it easy for you. I just want to know, is it okay for me to not let her fast on those particular days, and she can always keep it after Ramadan, or should I just let her fast and inshallah, whatever Allah wills will happen?
I will answer, inshallah. Any more questions?
No, shukran. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Muhammad from Nigeria says that I came to the masjid for Isha prayer, and I found them that they have already finished Isha prayer, and now the Imam is reading the Taraweeh. What should I do? Should I form or join a second congregation at the back of the masjid in Isha, or should I join the Taraweeh, reciting Taraweeh, and then pray Isha afterwards? Or should I pray Taraweeh with the Imam who is praying Taraweeh? The first option is not permissible. Forming a second Jama'ah while the Imam is reading the Taraweeh is not permissible. The second option is not permissible as well, because praying Taraweeh before praying Isha is invalid. The third option is the right option, and that is that you join them in Isha prayer. You intend your Isha, so you pray with the Imam 2 rak'ahs. When he offers salam, you stand up and finish your third and the fourth, conclude your Isha prayer, then join them for Taraweeh. We have a caller from Nigeria. Okay, he's lost. Aren't we all? Asya from Nigeria says that she's not a Muslim yet, and she is, inshallah, she is a Muslim in process. And she's asking about a pregnant woman. They say that it is haram for her to fast if she fasts, if I understood her question properly. A pregnant woman is like any other person. She's obliged to fast. A woman who's suckling or breastfeeding her child, a nursing woman, is also like any other person. She is obliged to fast. However, if they fear for themselves health-wise, or for their pregnancy, or for their children, in this case, it is permissible for them to skip fasting, because Allah is the most kind and merciful. He would not burden them with something that is harmful for them. So they are exempted from fasting. Once they're able, after a year, 2, 3, 10, depending on their circumstances, once they're able to make up, they're obliged to make up. They don't have to feed any poor person as an expiation. However, if a pregnant woman or a breastfeeding woman says, I feel fine, I feel that fasting would not harm my child, and she decides to fast, this is totally permissible. No one says that this is prohibited or haram unless there is harm on her or on her child. Abdul Noor from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I want to ask you about your take on how can I get...
Okay, Abdul Noor is gone. Amina from the Emirates says that her daughter has exams, and she says, is she exempted from fasting just to pass the exams? The answer is no. Allah tells us in the Quran that those who are ill or traveling are exempted from fasting. Taking an exam is not an excuse. working under the sun in construction is not an excuse. And what would fasting affect your exams? How would it do that? The Muslims used to fight in wars and battles in Ramadan while they're fasting. Some would break their fast, some would not. But this doesn't prevent a Muslim from acting normally. I know a lot of my relatives and friends who play tennis, who play squash, who play sports while they are fasting. They hit the gym while they're fasting. There's no problem in that. So it is something at the back of your own mind that tells you that you have fatigue, you're tired, and you won't be able to solve any problems. And this is all not true. So have trust in Allah Azza wa Jal and do your level best, inshallah. Maria sends a question, and she says that if a woman who was fasting and she got her menses after Dhuhr prayer, so is it true that it is prohibited for her to eat or drink until sunset, that she is obliged to continue? The answer is no. This is baseless. Once a woman gets her menses, she can eat and drink freely without any problem because she's not obliged to fast. And refraining from eating and drinking would be an innovation. However, if she does this as respect to those who are fasting, so instead of eating this juicy big hamburger and drinking this soda with ice in it in front of them in the middle of the day, just out of respect, she does not do that. This is more recommended. Ambar from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
Sheikh, please do answer my questions. I'm sorry, I don't know if the line is okay or
the
not.
The line is breaking. The line again is breaking.
Please do listen to my question. I don't know what's wrong with the line.
I'll try.
Sheikh, my first question is, once I make my ghusl after menses, I can fast and I can pray. But what happens sometimes, like you find after your ghusl, you are fasting and you pray, again there is spotting. So what's the ruling on that? I know the fast is broken, but can I pray, like wear clean clothes and make wudu, and can I pray? I mean,
second question.
Till I wait till the spotting also goes away. Because spotting is like,
I understand.
It's now and it's after maybe 5 hours again, the spot like that. And the second question is, we have a dish in our country, Pakistan, Halim, and now people are saying that because Al-Halim is name of Allah, it's haram to call it Halim. We can call it Dalim. I don't know. I want your ruling on that because it's a traditional dish and people love it, and they've been calling it Halim forever.
Okay.
So should I switch it to calling it Dalim? What's the ruling on that?
It's a food, a dish?
Yes, it's a food. It's a dish.
Okay. Any more questions?
Bas, thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Wajazakum. Okay. Sister Amber says that. Okay, we have Sister Fatima from the UK. Sister Fatima? Or Alina? Alina from Pakistan.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam wa
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I've got 3 questions.
Okay.
Hello?
Listen to me from the
Can
phone.
I ask 3 questions? Hello, I'm listening to you, Sheikh.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, what's your question?
I've got 3 questions to it. Okay, the first question is that do I have to pay zakat on a residential plot on which a house has not been built yet? Okay.
The house is being built for to live in?
No, it is not yet built, but we have a plot. So do we have to pay zakat for that also?
Is it for sale or to live in? What's your intention?
To build a house on that.
Yes, to live in.
Hello?
Or to sell it?
Yes, to live in. To live in, but the house has not yet been built.
Okay, second question.
Okay, the second question is that do we have to pay zakat for jewelry, gold jewelry that we are wearing at the moment?
Third question.
Third question is that I need to buy Sahih Bukhari, so which publisher or translator is good for English translation?
Okay, I will answer you inshallah. Khadija from Nigeria.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum.
Salam rahmatullah.
Yeah, I have two questions.
Yes.
The first question is, I wanted to help a friend and a family member who, we have these terrorist problems in Nigeria, so they have lost their homes and everything. They don't have any job to do. So I wanted to sell my jewelry and give him maybe something so that he can start up his life. But I know the jewelry, my husband bought it for me. So do I have to ask my husband for permission to let me do that?
Second question.
So I can go on and do it. And then the second question is concerning, I have a back surgery recently, so I pray on the chair. You stop my sujood. So what time I have this, whether I've done the sujood, where I do the ruku, I'm always having this problem. So do I have to be doing ba'adi every time I finish my prayer, or I should just go on with that prayer? That's why I would be learning to just, what of the Satan.
I didn't understand, Khadija. What happens when you go for ruku' or sujood?
No, I'm not used to sitting down and pray on the chair.
Okay.
I have back surgery recently, so I pray on the chair nowadays.
I understand.
Both my ruku and sujood. So when I do, sometimes feel like I didn't do this one. No, I haven't done the ruku twice. Sujood once. I didn't. No, I did it. Just something like.
Okay, I will answer you. Inshallah. I understand the question.
Okay.
Okay. We don't have time to take any more questions, so we'll try to finish what's in front of me. Amber says that from her menses, she sees spotting. She knows that the fasting is invalid, but the prayer, can she continue? This is wrong. Prayer and fasting are interconnected. If you pray, then you can fast. If you can fast, then you can pray. If you had seen your purity, and accordingly you took your ghusl, then any spotting afterwards or colored discharge has no effect on your fasting or on your purity for prayer. But you have to change and perform wudu when the adhan is called. That is it. As for the dish known as halim in Pakistan, there is nothing wrong in that. The name is totally permissible to be given to that dish. Alina from Pakistan, she says, do I pay zakat for the house that we're building? The answer is no. The house you build, the house you live on, there is no zakat on that. Only if you are selling and buying for profit. Do we pay zakat for our jewelry? Only for the gold and silver that you wear. Diamonds, precious stones, there's no zakat on it. But the jewelry that you wear, gold and silver, you have to give zakat. Whether you're stashing it, storing it, not wearing it, or you're wearing it every single day, the most authentic opinion that there is zakat. The best translation of Sahih Al-Bukhari, I have no idea. I don't read English at all. I know only the Arabic books. Khadija from Nigeria, she says that her husband bought her gold, and due to the need of some of her relatives, she wants to sell the gold and give them the money to help them. So can she do this? The answer is yes. It is totally permissible, because when her husband gave her the gold, he didn't lend it to her. He gave it to her. So she possesses it, and no one has right over her to tell her what to do with her money. However, she should be wise and diplomatic, and she should either do that behind his back without him knowing, or if she knows that he's a tolerant and wise person, she should tell him as informing him, not taking his approval. Her second question is that she prays on a chair, and she does not concentrate well. So she forgets whether she did one ruku' or two ruku's, whether she did one sujood or two sujood. So what to do? You have to try your level best to estimate. If you're unable to determine, then consider the least number to be the correct. So if I'm in doubt whether I prayed one sajda or two, then one is the most certain, the second is the doubtful. Cast the doubt and offer a second sajda, and so on, and offer sujood as-sahw, 2 prostrations of forgetfulness. After you finish the tashahhud, before offering salam, you offer 2 sajda and offer your salam afterwards. With this, we come to the conclusion of today's program. Until we meet next time, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I am a Muslim, Quran is my guide. I hear the calling of them, with it we unite. We are special only if we follow his light. The way of Muhammad, calling to paradise. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, we are your servants, Ya Allah. La ilaha illallah,